Sure, staying silent may feel safe, but staying quiet has a price. And you've been paying it in your visibility, in your personal power, and most importantly, in the impact that you're meant to make in this world. And today that stops. Hi, my name's Steve Kidd. I am a third generation minister, international best-selling author of 39 books and counting. I've had the gloriously wonderful privilege of working with nearly 5,000 people, helping them write, publish, market their books to bestseller, and everything that goes beyond that. But what I really do is I'm really here to help you find your true clarity, to make the impact, to be visible and valuable, to do the things that only you can do in this world. Somebody's waiting on you. Somebody, including you, may be the you that is suffering in your silence. They aren't, you aren't getting the things, doing the things, living the life, being who they could be because you're not saying the things that you need to say. You're not doing the things that you need to do. Now, this isn't a way for, and nor is it intended to be judgmental or to make you feel bad. I want to be here to help you feel and be encouraged that today is the day for silence to stop. Today's the day to step up, to really see and understand the cost that your silence, sometimes that, that silence has even been put on you. Somebody else told you, convinced you that it's what needs to happen. And today is where that really, truly needs to stop. Today is where we need to say the thing. So in order to do that, what I want to be able to do today is just spend some time looking at and talking about what has it been costing you to stay silent. Now, we could go into the bigger overall, the whole world kind of stuff, but some of that I sometimes think gets a little overwhelming. When I start talking to you about the people who are waiting on you and the people suffering in your silence and those kind of things, I think sometimes we get overloaded with the pressure of that. So let's just look at what has your silence done to you. Think of that thing that you're truly passionate about. I know you know it. Whenever that concept comes up in conversation, you always have something to say. The question becomes, do you say it? Have we found ourselves in a place where rather than stepping up and speaking up and saying the thing, we've been convinced, cajoled, or even forced into silence because of somebody else's opinion? Somebody who has told us that what we're saying isn't valued, isn't important, isn't necessary. Somebody has forced us into a place of silence. Unfortunately, as much as it would be nice if we could just identify who that person is and put all the blame on them and let them then carry the blame of that. Number one, they're not going to. And number two, unfortunately, most of it is that person in the mirror. It's us that's bought into that. Sure, it may have started, probably did in fact, from somebody else's opinion, their insertion of their personal belief, their opinions of who we are, what we should do into our life. And they should have never, and I don't care who they are. I mean, your parents, your minister, they should not have had the right to speak that into your life to begin with, let alone the opportunity to shape you in the way that they have. Today is the day that needs to end. We need to look at ourselves. Okay, so let's go back to that scenario. The thing comes up that you are absolutely passionate about. You definitely have something to say about it. Okay, now there's two scenarios that I poured out. Scenario number one is absolutely you say the thing. You are killing it with your passion. We're going to get back to that in a second. The other side, though, is where you really have something that you want to say. And maybe when you're driving home, whether it's in the car by yourself and you're ranting to yourself, or to that one safe person that's in your life that's riding in the car with you and you're ranting to them about the crazy stuff that the person said. Okay. Or maybe the situation comes up when you're like at home sitting in front of the television and somebody says something that just totally triggers that thing in you. And you find yourself yelling at the television, angry at that person who said the thing, right? Now, how much impact did that have on them? Whether you're in the scenario where you don't say the thing that you're passionate about in a group setting because of all the reasons that we've been convinced to not say the thing, or you're by yourself and you get triggered by that thing, and you're either way, you're deeply, massively expressing that thing because you're totally passionate about it. And like you said, we're going to get back in a minute to the times that you do speak up, but let's stick in this lane for a minute. The problem is that it makes no impact on anybody but you. And unfortunately, the impact that you're making on you is not a positive, upbuilding, transformational, if you will, type of a move. It's tearing you down a little bit more inside because you see the injustice, you see the thing that's wrong, you see the thing that you could fix. And it just makes you angry. Have you ever seen somebody that's a quote unquote expert? And I'm not dissing people that are experts. And maybe even this particular person is an expert in some extent, but there are times when we've all seen that person who is maybe even is, achieved accolades as an expert. And as they're talking, it's not even your opinion. I mean, it is, but it isn't really even just your opinion that what the person is saying is just a bunch of crap. It is. And let's face it, for all of us, that kind of triggers us, right? We hear that person spouting off that thing that is absolutely leading people astray. It absolutely is putting people down the wrong path because of their limiting beliefs, because, somebody else. I remember one time I was in a coaching call. This is many, many years ago. I mean, both Maya and Alex were still living at home. So that gives you an idea how long ago it was. I mean, Alex is, what is Alex now? Alex is like 31. Holy cow, I'm old. Anyway, I think that's right. Yeah, I think Alex was born in 94, which would make him having turned 31 this year. Oh, geez. Whew. Okay, had to move past that for just a second. Sorry. No. But I remember, wow, that just totally hijacked me just thinking about how old I am. Sorry. Rewind. I remember I was on this coaching call and I asked a question. And I remember the question, if you really want to know. Back in the days when all the gurus were starting a television show, meaning that they were buying a .tv and they were running their videos rather than, and some of them were still putting them on YouTube, but they were running them on their .tv, and they had their own TV show, all right? And this person was spouting off all the reasons why you needed to have your own TV show to be the scene expert in your field, and you needed to go out and you needed to buy a .tv. And, by that point, and I'd have to figure out even what year this was. I know approximately, but, it was approximately 2016. No, it would have been before then. Yeah, anyway. Okay. And anyway, the person was just espousing that. And I just asked the question, because of my internet background, I said, What is the rationale behind it? I think I actually used the word argument, and they were all upset because I said, "Well, I don't like to live in a spirit of argumentation and contention." I'm like, "Okay, can you answer the question?" But anyway, what's the argument for registering a .tv when currently all the browsers, if you don't put the TLD, which is the dot whatever, okay, um, behind it, they default to .com. So if you buy something and you don't own the .com and you just own the .tv, whenever somebody puts that in there, it's going to, take them to somebody else's website. And they're like, well, I don't really know, but that's what everybody that's succeeding is doing. And so that's why we should do it. And I was just like, by the way, that was the last day I attended that class. Let's just leave it there, okay? Um, because our rationale behind things should be deeper than that. And I know I just went off on a rant. I got triggered, and it happens. But really, I mean, the truth of the matter is that we see that person teaching something that they either in this particular case, know nothing about, and they're just regurgitating something that somebody else told them, whether that person is right or wrong, or they're copying. There's a phrase that used to go around. I don't know if people are using it anymore. It was called rob and duplicate. Literally encouraging people steal somebody else's stuff and then just do exactly what they're doing. I believe totally in learning from success, but then be creative. Don't just steal somebody else's stuff. Anyway, totally ranting at you all today. I appreciate you listening to me. These are the kind of things, though. You see what I'm saying? You can see me living out in living color, as it were, right here in front of you, that whole concept of things that, that trigger you, and you've got something to say about it. You rant about it. But what does it do when you don't stand up for it? I mean, how many more people do you suppose in that time frame, because that was definitely during that time that I've talked to you about before, when, for lack of a better term, I was living as a zombie. I was just completely useless in the world. How many more people registered a .tv, and then they went on like a podcast interview or things like that, and they said, go to Get My Amazing Show get My Amazing Show. Don't forget, Get My Amazing Show. They may have even said Get My Amazing Show.tv. How many times have you heard a URL and you forgot what the extension is, right? Because we still, it's getting a little better, but we still think in .com. It's just the way it is. But how many people suffered in that because I was silent in that time? I didn't say anything about it. Didn't write a book about it. Didn't do any lives about it. Didn't do a training. Didn't create a class. How many people suffered in my silence in that situation? Not that I didn't rant and rave. Just now I did it again. Okay? Totally triggered me. Whoever did I really help with it? I mean, you could learn from that now. Kind of apropos now, because A, browsers work differently than what they did then, and B, nobody's teaching the .tvs anymore. But what good did it do? And see, that's what our silence ends up doing to us. It shows on your face how many times you don't speak up for what you believe, until you have all these lines in your face and you're just like, "Rrr." I mean, there are a lot of people. Think about people who look defeated, people who are angry all the time. Where does that come from? It comes from them not having a place for their voice, a place where they stand for what they believe, and they, they don't say the thing. And it's you. I mean, like you said, there's the whole rest of the world and all that, and all the times I'm talking about, um, people suffering in your silence and those kind of things. But what about you? What about the you and the less than and the lack and the things that you're suffering in still to this day because you didn't say that thing? I mean, you said a lot about it. You just didn't say it to any place or in any way that made a difference. You didn't share with the world. You didn't stand up for the thing. Okay, which leads us perfectly into the other side of the fence. And that's the people who do overwhelmingly stand up for the thing. They do say the thing, but they don't, again, they're not saying in a constructive, make a difference kind of way. They're just ranting in front of everybody. And let's face it, when somebody is ranting about an issue that is not something you agree with, okay, and I'm not saying they're wrong, I'm just saying it's not something you agree with, we just tune them out. At, at, at best, we don't hear them, and most of the time, we reduce how we think and feel about them. They diminish in our eyes because they take a stand for that thing. And I'm not encouraging it. In fact, I'm encouraging just the opposite of not saying it. I do encourage you to speak up. But that ranting with no purpose and no capability, no clarity of how you can consistently connect. See how the 3 C's always come into it? Clarity, consistency, connection. If you're just ranting, sure, you said the thing, and sure, there's some empowerment, but it didn't do you or the people listening any good. Whereas when we get just that little bit of clarity and we get that courage, yes, to say the thing, but say it in a way that makes a difference. Self-filtering is a beautiful thing. That can go so many different directions, Patricia, up to and including some of the things I've said during this live. It's so important that we understand that clarity. Because the real safety comes from knowing who you are, knowing what your purpose is, and standing in that purpose with conviction and with something that can be done about it. And it doesn't matter. I mean, there are so many political issues flying around, especially right now if you happen to be listening live. And everybody is very much, especially right now, deeply entrenched in their way of looking at the thing. My question for you is, can you hold on to the passion you have of that and learn how to channel that? Because a lot of why we're ranting and raving about some of the things that are going on, current events and stuff like that, is because from whichever side of that fence you're on, there's a lot of feeling of unsafety. And that's what's really coming. It's a reactionary. It's like that fight or flight mechanism. And either you silence or you rant, fight or flight. It's not resolve. It's not a response, it's a reaction. Now, for those of you that have never heard me talk about that, let me take a second and explain to you. Okay, when we react, it's the instant return. It's the reaction. It's the something comes in and boom, this is immediately what comes out. When we respond, we take a beat. It doesn't have to be forever. We have to take 20 minutes to think through it. But we stop, take a deep breath, and make a decision as to how we're going to respond. And all of those things happen way before they happen. If you want to know how to respond in a difficult situation, somebody that has a political belief, just because that's so volatile right now, that is opposing to yours. Yes, you could just get in a knockdown, drag out fight, and a lot of people are doing that these days. But what difference does that make in your life or theirs or anything in the world? Whereas if before you get in a confrontation with that person, what if you had the clarity of who you are, what you believe, and why that's important to you, and then you frame the words that help with that why for the people that you're meant to help. I said so much in there, and we won't be able to unpack all of it today. But it boils down to this basic concept, and that's number one, the people you're meant to help. You can't help everybody. Okay? You can put the thing out there, you can know what the solution you have is, and you can put it out there and offer it literally to everybody. And when we offer it in a way that is clear, most of the people are going to opt out. And that is the biggest bonus you can ever get. If you're, I'm going to use Don Crowther, my good friend Don Crowther, who was, a guest on my radio show. I loved his example because he lives in Minnesota. He's like, I happen to be a Vikings fan, and up here we hate the Cowboys. And he's like, if you're a Cowboys fan and we're talking football, we're never going to meet eye to eye. I hate the Cowboys, you hate the Vikings. We're not going to see eye to eye. He said, from a marketing standpoint, why don't I just let you know right up front, hey, I'm a huge Vikings fan. And if you're a huge Cowboys fan, at least in this particular arena, we're not going to be a fit. One of the best things people can do is opt out. When we have that clarity, they'll opt out. They'll be like, man, that person believes in this XYZ thing. Think about it with politics. If you know clearly, not just the thing that you rant about, even more so, not the thing that was given to you and why somebody else believes it and you just bought into it, but you've actually taken the time to think through and have your own opinion and know why. But then below the why, know the what am I going to do for the people that I'm meant to serve. Then you can, easily start off with, well, from my standpoint, here's what I see. If you'd like to talk about ways that we could, come together in the middle with that, or if you'd like to talk about why I feel that way, I would love to have that discussion. And when the person immediately opts out and says, no, I don't want to hear that at all. I think, anybody that believes this XYZ thing is totally crazy. I mean, I like to live in a world where we can discuss anything. Doesn't mean that I'm going to change my opinion. And if what you want to do is discuss the thing so that the only outcome is if I don't change my opinion, I'm a horrible person. But when we take that next step to the point where we can have a valid discussion, we don't have to change our opinion, but we can actually hear one another and have a discussion. That's where our coming together is going to happen in this world. This is not the direction I thought things were going to go today, but with some of the things that are happening in the world, real time, right now as we talk, I think somebody needed to hear that. I think that's one of the biggest missed opportunities we have, is because we know what we're passionate about, but we don't know why. And we haven't taken the time to form the clarity in the verbiage and the things that we can and should say. And so because of that, all we do is rant and rave. And we don't help the people that we're meant to help, nor do we learn, develop a deeper understanding with, or any of those kind of things with the people that we're adamantly at odds with. And nothing gets any better. It just polarizes people more. Whereas we can have completely, absolutely opposing views, and we could still have a discussion. Doesn't mean you're going to change, doesn't mean I'm going to change. But it does mean that we could be civil, we could be polite, we could even be appreciative of one another. That's huge, I know. This silence costs so much. And it's both the silence where you don't say it, as well as the silence where you're saying things but not the thing, where you don't have the clarity to know really what to say. You just have the feeling and the emotion of what you feel. And we all do it. We're just spewing our feelings on one another, and nothing gets resolved and nothing changes. That clarity piece added into moves us from silence. Sometimes silence is when we're screaming the loudest, and sometimes silence is when we're saying absolutely nothing. Both are equally true, they're just opposite sides of the coin. What I want for you is a way to step into your voice, the whys beneath your passion, and the words that form it into something that truly make an impact in this world. You need that. The world needs that. We all need that. And that allows us to come together clearly, concisely, connecting one to another. The price of your silence is so much bigger than any fear that comes out of your speaking, or any of the fear that the thing that you're passionate about triggers inside of you. Please do come join us in the Visibility Amplifier community. If you go to visibilityamplifier.com, it's a free group. Come in and join us. It is a place where we do hold it sacredly safe for you to be able to say the thing. Again, we're all adults in there. And so if you say something we don't agree with, we're more than willing to have a discussion with you about it. We don't need to tell you you're stupid and just drive you off because you have an opposing view. But we do also respect you enough to be able to have a conversation, especially about those hard things. And in that safe space, we can all grow together. We can all find the clarity to consistently connect with the people in this world that we're meant to serve. I want that for you. I know you need it. I know I need it too. Visibilityamplifier.com. Do come join us. I appreciate you so much. Thanks for spending the time here with me today. I really, really hope the joy is just welling up inside of you, that you're happy, truly happy, that you feel warmly loved. Tomorrow we're going to get together again. We're going to talk about when your story becomes someone else's survival guide. Even you. What if your story is the actual life vest that keeps you afloat? We'll talk about that tomorrow. And until we're together again next time, I hope you have a great week.